Hello Internet, Seth Skorkowski, and today we're going to discuss the legendary Dungeons & Dragons adventure White Plume Mountain. Written by Lawrence Schick, the adventure was first published in 1979. Since then, it's had a re-release with expanded art, a second edition reprint and sequel Return to White Plume Mountain, a 3.5 edition conversion, and most recently was published again as part of 2017's 5th edition collection Tales of the Yawning Portal. Much like its villain, the evil wizard Caraptus, every time that we believe that this module might be dead and just lost to history, it just keeps coming back, which is awesome. I first discovered White Plume Mountain in a garage sale score in 1992 and have successfully run it twice. Unfortunately, when I decided to start doing this review, I realized that my very much beloved copy, the one with expanded art, was missing. I must have loaned it out at some point and it never returned.
That is your fault. Gaming books are like tools. If you loan one out, you should never ever expect to see it again.
Yeah, one day I'll learn. Fortunately, Wizards of the Coast has PDF scans of the original module available for download. However, the version that they have is the non-expanded art version, and the copy that they scanned for it was a bit weathered, but more on that in a bit. White Plume Mountain is a classic funhouse-style sort of adventure that not only includes a lot of difficult combat, but also has a lot of puzzles and obstacles that will require player intelligence and problem-solving to overcome. I can't recommend it enough. The other thing that it has, being a 38-year-old module, is that it has allowed thousands of players across decades and generations to share war stories with each other. Players can meet one another, whether that be online or at a game shop or a convention or wherever, and despite years of difference between their age, they can laugh and swap tales about how they shared memories overcoming this little adventure, and that's a very unique sort of thing. It's a cool experience that only very old adventures can give, much like the haunting scenario from Call of Cthulhu. So a huge thank you to Wizards of the Coast for keeping this module alive and updated for a new generation of players to experience.
You keep saying how old these modules are. You do realize that you are physically older than any of these adventures, right?
I'm not much older. Anyway, the first edition module is designed for players 5 through 10, while the 5th edition module says that it's for players that are 8th level. It's short, so you should expect it to take one, but most likely will be 2 sessions. It just kind of depends on how your players play. Now, for any players that are in the audience, if you've never experienced White Plume Mountain, I strongly suggest that you tell your Dungeon Master to check this review out as a possibility for your game. However, from this moment forward, I'm going to be laying out all the spoilers, so you should stop here unless you want to ruin the surprise. Okay, for those of you still with me, let's talk about this thing. With the exception of art and a few rules that were changed for the conversion, the adventure is almost unchanged since its original publication. It's not really enough of a changes that I've seen that's any notable difference, so it doesn't matter which version you plan on running. First edition had more art, a lot more art, and anyone that's seen my other reviews knows that I put a lot of value on art. 5th edition is a higher quality, full-color art by Claudio Pozas, but not as much as the original had. My recommendation is that no matter which version you run, you search the internet and get as much of the art out there as you can. Art helps you visualize and describe the scene better and makes great player handouts. The other thing that disappoints me in the newest edition is that it doesn't include the handout for Caraptus' poem or riddle. The 5e version mentions that there was a history that Caraptus used, and it used to be a handout, but it doesn't give it in a nice handout form. DMs, I suggest that you find these, print them up, and give them to your players.
So it was this adventure that gave you your addiction to like 1 million player handouts in every single adventure, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. It all came from this adventure. Player handouts that let them hold them in their hand and be able to reference them during the adventure itself really help with player immersion. I can't recommend it enough to give your players the riddle as a handout. Now, the fold-out map for the PDF of the original first edition module sucks. It's terribly discolored, and 2 of the room numbers along the scene you can't even read. However, for those of you that have the first edition PDF version, or those of you that have an original printing but lost the fold-out map that was included with it, all you have to do is use a little bit of Google Foo and it will quickly yield a bunch of newer, cleaner, and prettier colored maps. Now, enough talk about that. Let's talk about running this adventure. The plot is that 3 fantastic, legendary weapons were stolen from their owners. A cryptic note signed by the presumed dead sorcerer Caraptus challenges the owners to send champions to get them back. So it's an elaborate game to the villain, who seems to be impervious to death, so it's kind of like a Saw movie. The module doesn't give any information as to who these collectors are, and only that it's a reward recovering these weapons will grant the heroes whatever they desire. That is pretty unhelpful. So my first suggestion here is that DMs decide who these collectors are and what it is that they can offer for rewards. The Hammer Whelm is a dwarven weapon, and Wave is for worshippers of Poseidon, so I suggest that you make the owners be temples, powerful temples with vast influence. Maybe the rewards that they can offer would be something like a free resurrection later on, or maybe some sweet custom mithril armor, or some favor with the god in addition to all the fame and fortune that they're going to be getting regardless. The same goes for Black Razor. Maybe it was the sword of a national hero, and the current ruler will offer the PCs land, or a title, or a castle, or some sort of royal favor. You should make this reward something awesome and something that the PCs really can't get on their own.
Yeah, but what if what I want is to own one of those sweet, sweet weapons? I mean, I think I'd look pretty good with a trident.
Well, yes, DMs could let the players keep one or more of the weapons. The problem is that those weapons could seriously unbalance the game in the long run. They are extremely powerful. The weapons should be the MacGuffin, or the goal for the players to get, and the reward should be what they receive at the very end for completing their goals. So just make sure that the reward is something that is so desirable that the PCs think that it's worth it.
Yeah, but what if I just decided to keep that weapon for myself anyway?
Okay, that is possible. It is a role-playing game after all, and players might decide that they're just going to keep the weapons. If they do, they're going to need those weapons because they are now going to be branded as thieves and they're going to be hunted for the rest of their lives. And if you decided that the owners of the weapons included temples, powerful temples that serve immortal gods, their reach is going to be extremely far and the hunters are going to be after them for a very long time. But, hey, that's part of the fun of RPGs, right? Another thing to think about is that the module assumes that the PCs are personally selected to be the champions of these owners. And, okay, that's fine if you do it that way. But what if the letter of Caraptus was actually sent out far and wide and was an open invitation for anyone to show up? Now the PCs can find themselves in a race as dozens of adventuring parties and are all going out there and they are desperate to get these weapons back to the owners first and collect the reward. Making it a race can completely change the mood of the game. Maybe other adventurers might try to ambush them on the road to the mountain, or maybe they'll raid the PC's camp while the PCs are inside the mountain completing the quest. Or maybe they're just going to sit outside and they're going to wait for the player characters to recover the weapons, and then they're going to ambush them and steal them the moment they come back outside. There is a whole world of possibilities. GMs could make them meet other groups inside White Plume Mountain, or maybe just the remains of other groups that didn't survive it. It also makes a great opening for any new PCs to join the party. If one of the old PCs got killed on one of the traps or one of the encounters, and then they come across some guy that's kind of stumbling along by himself because they're the last survivor of their own party. It's a nice way to be able to kind of keep it going if you do have a high fatality rate. Now, either because the owners told them or through research or some friendly NPCs, heroes might figure out that the Feathered Mound is going to be White Plume Mountain, and that gives them a little bit of advantage above all the other parties that are going to be searching for these weapons. But they know that they have to move quickly because other people are going to figure that out soon enough, so the PCs are going to go racing out there knowing that they've got the edge right now. They better complete it before everybody shows up at White Plume Mountain. Whether you decide to do that or not is completely up to you. But Caraptus wants his game, and I think an open call challenge is more of Caraptus' style, and it can add a whole new aspect that the module seems to neglect. Once the PCs reach the mountain, they'll have all kinds of various puzzles and encounters, and I'm not going to go through them all right here, as they're all pretty self-explanatory. Many, like the frictionless room, don't have any set correct answer. The fun becomes from the PCs coming up with all sorts of crazy and kooky ideas trying to solve it. For the room with the suspended disc above the boiling mud, there is one small issue I want to mention with the timing. And that's that in 1st edition, a round was equal to 1 minute, while in 5th edition, a round is equal to 6 seconds. Because the geysers A and B erupt every 3 to 5 minutes in both editions, I suggest that 5th edition GMs change that to once every 3 to 5 rounds in order to achieve the same risk that it was intended to be in the module. That makes the player timing much more critical when they're trying to cross this room. Caraptus has many servants living inside the mountain, and GMs should remember that Caraptus is extremely evil and that none of his servants should be here for their own will. Maybe give them all brands or some other mark, something really sinister that says that they've gone through the indoctrination center and they're actually all slaves here. What that means is that all the servants here are victims. They have to serve him. It might also provide some fun moral dilemmas as the PCs roleplay and they can discover that all these people that they're fighting and killing aren't necessarily evil. It's a good hint also as to what the sorcerer has intended for the PCs at the end of the adventure. Maybe have 1 or 2 of Sir Bluto's henchmen when they're all fighting in that one room to be going like, I'm sorry, as they are in the middle of combat. And that's a great way for the PCs to realize, like, oh my god, these actually aren't bad people, but the PCs are going to be completely unable to break the charm or the spell. They either have to capture or kill them. But it makes Caraptus seem much more evil because everyone in this dungeon is just a piece in his game, and they're all victims. But the other reason that you would like to have this is that the PCs realize that many of these people here aren't necessarily evil, is one way when they discover the halfling Quisnef, who is really just an evil polymorphed Oni, that the PCs might be a little bit more trusting of him. When I ran this, the PCs were always instantly suspicious of him.
Yeah, everything that we have met here so far has tried to kill us, so I am not going to be taking my eyes off you for a second. You know what? On second thought, guys, let's just kill this little squirt now.
But if you establish that not everyone here is willing, and the other heroes were also coming in here periodically trying to find the 3 legendary weapons, maybe Quisnef is the last of his own adventuring party, then you can have a lot of fun having him, join the PCs for a little bit, get close to them, maybe even help them out through a few of the obstacles, and that is when he's going to strike. That's much more effective than have them walk into this room and he'd be all like, oh, hi, I'm a friendly little halfling. Like, oh, no, now I'm a monster. It's a lot more fun to roleplay it and keep that going a little bit longer, but you need to have the PCs trust him in order for that to succeed. Once the PCs have beaten the giant crab and bested the vampire protecting the other 2 weapons, that's when the final showdown occurs. Caraptus will announce that he has no intention for the PCs to escape, and he sends either 2 or 4 Ifrit to capture the PCs and bring them to his indoctrination center to become his next unwilling servants. This is also a good point, that if the PCs solve the riddle of the 5 flesh golems, and number 9 is now a loyal friend of the party, kind of like a big, lumbering, stinky mascot.
Holy crap, number 9! I loved that big Frankenstein brute. He traveled with us for like 5 whole adventures before he finally bought the farm. Literally, he's got like a wife and kids now. I still get a Christmas card from him like every other year.
If you as the GM don't want the players to actually keep a flesh golem just around all the time, the end is a good time for that flesh golem to turn on the PCs. After all, the flesh golem ultimately serves Caraptus, and even though when they solved the puzzle there was a little voice that said that it was going to loyally serve them, that could have just easily been a lie, and it's the PC's fault for even believing that.
Oh, not you too, number 9! Oh, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal!
Otherwise, if you want, maybe they can keep number 9. I leave that all up to you, but it's just some food for thought. Overall, White Plume Mountain is a classic adventure that will challenge your players. The fact that it's been around for so long is a testament to how well it's written and how popular it is. Even without my suggestions, I heartily recommend it, whichever edition it is you prefer.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, check out our other videos. Until next time, gamers, you have a great day. So, are we not even going to mention the fact that Black Razor is clearly a Stormbringer ripoff? No? Oh, okay, I guess it don't matter. Still a pretty cool sword, though.